Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be talking about the report that says that Adam Peters is looking to build the trenches, the offensive line and the defensive line, over some of the flashier positions that maybe some of the fans want. And we'll talk about why I believe he's doing that because of the Philadelphia Eagles and how that's their strength, and how if they want to compete with the Eagles, they're going to have to build up those trenches. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, notification bell as well. Comment down below which player you think would help out the Commanders in the trenches the most. You can go Myles Garrett, you can go Ronnie Stanley, you can go Khalil Mack, Trey Hendrickson, whoever you want. That's somewhat of a possibility. Max Crosby, even though probably not going to happen. He's not on the trade block yet. But let's get right into it. And appreciate you guys for 15K subscribers. I know I said it last video, but really appreciate all of you who watch, even if you're not subscribed. Even the haters too. But let's get right into it. So, this is a week ago, less than a week ago, Jeremy Fowler believes that while the Commanders will address the wide receiver 2 position in some form, they instead might allocate more resources to the offensive line and defensive line, which, and the pass rush. And the Eagles are in the title of this video more likely than not. And, some Eagles fans might get upset, but this is, if anything, it's a compliment, and shows how good they are, that we're, trying to build our team around beating them, because that is obviously the biggest competitor the Commanders have right now. And, you got the Eagles, maybe the Lions, the 49ers are all pretty good teams in the NFC. Throw in the Vikings, throw in the Pack. There's a couple decent teams as well, like the teams I just mentioned. And maybe if JJ McCarthy balls out, the Vikings will be a top tier team. But the Eagles are in the Commanders division, and they just won the Super Bowl. And the Commanders, however you want to slice it, they lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship, and it wasn't too close. Yes, it was close at times, but at the end of the day, they outmatched us, and a lot of it was the trenches. The run game for the Commanders wasn't really, getting going because, the Eagles have a really good defensive line, and, they were getting pressure on Jaden Daniels as well, and, the Eagles offense did well, obviously, put up 55 points. The, running game was insane with Saquon, a bunch of, they're making gaps for him that I could run through, or anyone can run through. And then also they're, pass protecting really well. And, if the Commanders have a better defensive line, if they get an elite player, that changes things a little bit. It makes it harder for the Eagles to, run the offense they want to. They have to game plan for a specific player, like, if Myles Garrett were to get traded here. So that's something that I think is really important for the Commanders, and I'm glad that at least, this is what, Fowler's reporting, that they're going to prioritize the trenches over the, wide receiver 2 position or running back and stuff like that. They can, I would say, add a starting edge rusher. I like Dorrance Armstrong. He's good. He's a good, third guy or maybe second guy. So I think he's fine starting, and, I think he'll continue to get better. He's still relatively young, but I think you need a dude at the other edge rusher position. So I would say, number one, try to get Myles Garrett. If you can't do that, then go ahead and get, maybe swing for Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, but those are even more long shots in my opinion. And then I would say, I don't really think it's settling, but I guess you could call it that, but Khalil Mack, I think he's my number one free agent target for the Commanders. I think he's still really good. You sign up for a 1-year deal, and you can still, you could get Khalil Mack, who will temporarily fill your edge rusher hole, and you can draft a guy in the first round, and he'll be that third guy, or maybe if he really is that guy, all straight from the jump, if he's really that dude, then he can start over Armstrong, and Armstrong can be the third guy. But more, most likely he'll just be that third guy in that rotation. He'll get better as the season goes on, kind of like Will McDonald and Nolan Smith from the Eagles. What the Jets and Eagles did with those guys in the rookie year, they didn't get a lot of PT, and then the year after that, they really started to ball out. I could see that with the Commanders, and you kind of build for the future at the same time as building for the now with Khalil Mack. You fit fill 2 holes and 2 ways of thinking. So I think that would be really good for the Commanders, is making that move. is if they get Garrett, then you're not going to have those first round picks to go after an edge rusher, but you got your guy for the next 5 years. So that's how you can build the trenches, with the edge rusher position. And then interior defensive line, you got Johnny Newton, who, he had some moments in his rookie year. Got to see more consistency from him in bigger time plays, but also he didn't really have a full off season, had, the injuries, had a surgery before the draft, after the draft, just a lot of stuff with him that he wasn't fully healthy for. So let's see what he does this year. Was highly touted, an early second round pick too. And then after that, I would say, you have Allen and Payne. I think one of them's probably gone, or, there's at least close to a 50% chance that one of them's gone. So that's something to watch out for as well. And there's guys in free agency. I forgot. I don't know what I just did. I forgot the guy's name from the Cowboys, but he's a free agent. You got Milton Williams from the Eagles. He's another guy to watch out for as well. I think those guys would be good options, as starters / rotational pieces, getting some more depth on that defensive line. Like I like Sheldon Day and some of these other guys, but they need to, beef up that defensive line a little bit, maybe get a little bit younger too. So getting a guy that just finished off their first contract wouldn't be a bad idea. And I think that's how they should play it. Deron Payne's still under contract. He hasn't been playing super well, but it's hard to get rid of him right now. Maybe if they want to trade him, that's possible, but he's probably going to be on the squad for this year. Offensive line wise, I think the Commanders. We'll talk about this report in a second. I think the Commanders could go and draft a guy in the first round. I don't think that would be the worst option. They also have guys in free agency. Ronnie Stanley. I'll go ahead and look up 2025 offensive line free agents. We'll go ahead and look up offensive line free agents just to look at some potential options. I think the draft, is an option, and then obviously free agency as well. Let's go offensive line. So Zach Martin, he just retired, so I guess that's good news for the Commanders. Brandon Sheriff, I know, people, the way it ended here, they don't, absolutely love him, but I wouldn't mind Brandon Sheriff, honestly. I don't think it would be a bad signing for the Commanders as a guard. You start him at left guard, and then once Cosme gets back, you got both of them. So we don't know yet the Cosme news, how long he's going to be out for, but I wouldn't be surprised if he missed some time. I'm trying to see some other guys. Jedrick Wills is a guy you could maybe take a swing on as a first round pick, but he hasn't been very good, so would probably stay away from that. Cornelius Lucas is a free agent. He's getting up there in age. Feliciano, I believe, just retired. I wouldn't mind Becton. I assume he stays in Philly, but he's 26 years old. You could put him at left guard, and he'll be good for you. Or you can stick him at right guard while Cosme comes back and then switch him to left guard. I think Becton would be a good signing for the Commanders. Had a good year this year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you take a guy away from them. I just think he's going to stay there because of his one really good year, best year of his career was with the Eagles, and I think he wants to continue that. So maybe he'll go out and get some money, but I think he'll probably stay with the Eagles. There's some other guys as well. Dylan Radnews, Titans, Trent Scott, hopefully we bring him back. You got Cody Ford from the band. There's some names. You can definitely build up the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins, I don't know how well he's been playing for the Bears, but I think he was a first round, second round pick, early second round pick from the Bears for a tackle, and then I guess switch over to guard. He's just someone to watch out for. And maybe they could go ahead and get him. I don't know, but just some names there on the offensive side of the ball, or the offensive side of the line, to watch out for the Commanders this coming free agency. And then the draft's a different story. We'll wait and see what happens there. Free agency will tell a lot in terms of, all right, what are the Commanders going to prioritize in the draft. But yeah, offensive line and defensive line are very important for the Commanders. If they can shore those up and add an elite player, whether it's at O-line or defensive line, that'll help them out against the Eagles a ton. And it's not going to they can't completely overhaul both lines in 1 year. They did some good things. They added Tyler Biotish. They added on the defensive line, they added Fowler, who's a free agent. They added Armstrong, but they added Coleman, who I like too. But That's 1 year. They made some changes. Even one more year this offseason, they can't fix it completely, but they can make progress. So again, adding a solid free agent like a Tyler Biadasz, again, that gets you closer to what the Eagles are. Obviously not where they're at, but it's getting you closer. And then you just continue to do that, and hopefully you hit on your picks, maybe get an elite player like Myles Garrett, and that completely changes your fortunes. Just talking about this report real quick, Fowler says they're probably gonna, look for a wide receiver too, and doesn't, like this report says, maybe they're not going to be super aggressive about it, but Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, and I would throw Deebo Samuel in the mix. Not saying I would like Deebo Samuel, but obviously has that connection with Adam Peters, with Martin Mayhew, Anthony Lynn as well, who you might be like, yo, that's not really a big connection, but Anthony Lynn was a running backs coach there. Deebo Samuel took a lot of reps at running back, so was probably in the meetings, and it's probably somewhat familiar with Anthony Lynn. So I would throw those 3 names out there for the Commanders at wide receiver, and I think I like Kupp there. I like Kupp out of all those names, and you're not going to have to give up much for him. And then I would still draft the receiver on day 2 or early day 3, and then you can still sign a free agent as well. But that is it for today's video. If you guys did stay until the end, I'm trying to think of a random player. We'll go, this isn't a random player, but it's a, older player, Russ Grimm, Hall of Famer for the Redskins on the Hogs. So for you guys, OGs out there, getting you guys some of the guys that played while you were watching and during the heyday. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy, and peace.